Hello there and welcome back. In this video, we are going to improve on the previously mentioned filedict. So what I want to do is to provide a flask API for this filedict mutable mapping. And basically that's what's going to happen. So we will create two scripts. One is going to be about the API itself, and the other is the APIDict.py, and this is going to allow us to basically use the API and provide a persistent storage based on filedict, and that is going to be the topic for today's video. So let's jump right into it. What I want to do is to create here a new folder, and let's call this APIDict. And I messed it up. So let's try it again. APIDict. Cool. So we will create the API flask.py, and this is inside the API dict. So what do we do here? Basically, we have to create a small Flask web application that is going to allow us to interact with the filedict. So let's try to import from Flask the Flask class and request and abort. Except we are going to raise a system exit and say, please pip install flask. Install flask. Otherwise, what we have to do, let me make it a bit bigger. So we have more real estate. So how should we proceed? Come on, let's insert. Okay. So we would like to create our app based on Flask with the name and the app. No, I don't want to exit terminal. So app.route, we are going to have a default context route, and the methods are going to be only get, and the index is going to return the myDict, which is going to be a dictionary converted myDict. So let's create it. MyDict is equal to dict. The second route that we want to implement is going to be the app.route set, and the methods will be post, and the function is going to be set item. And what we would like to do in this context route is to access our myDict variable, and we would like to have my key and my value, and we are going to use query strings in Flask. So request.get.args.get my key, or rather just key, and the default is 0, and the request.args.get value, and this is going to be 0. So basically in this case the URL would look like this: key equals a and value equals 10. Good. If we have my key and my value, then what we have to do is to say my dict, my key is equal to my value, and we want to return a dictionary based on request.args.get key and request.args.get value. Otherwise, we would like to return the dictionary of request.args.get key and not available. Cool. So we would like to create the name equals the underscore main, and the app.run is going to happen on the 0.0.0 with the port equals 8000, and the debug is equal to true. Let's save it, and if we navigate to the appropriate directory, so PyGoodies APIDict, and we should Python 3 API flask. You can see that we have the pip install. Let's give it flask this way. And now we have the option to start interacting with this URL. So let's pip install requests. Okay. And the requests.get URL equals to this one is going to need the import requests, and then the response is 200, and we have an empty dictionary. So let's try and set a couple of key value pairs. So we use the post request and we adjust the URL to be set. Key is equal to A and the value is equal to 10. And let's change the function once again. So we use the post, and you can see this is working. And let's give another with the key B. And if we were to get the whole URL, we have our dictionary in the response. So now we have to proceed further. So technically, we would need the app.route, and we want to use the get with the get item. And here we would have the global my dict, and we would have the following: if my dict dot get request args get key, then we would return the dictionary of request args get key and the my dict request args get key. Otherwise, we would return a dictionary which is going to have the request args get key with the n.a. So let's see. Now, if I use the get, since the Flask application restarted, the dictionary is empty. And if I use post on B and A with value 10, and I use the get, I can see this is working. And if you modify the get key equals A, it's going to return the appropriate one. If I specify a non-existent, it will return with the NA value. Cool. So now the get is working, and what we would like to do is to implement the del. So del item and global my dict. This is going to be fairly similar to the get, but the difference is going to be that we are deleting, not returning the value. So here we check if the key exists, then we delete the my dict request.args.key, and then we would return an f string key was deleted. All right. And then key was not found. And let's make it an f string as well. So let's save it. And now if we check the dictionary, it's empty. Let's put some values in it. And let's use the delete with the keyword argument of C. That is non-existent at the moment. And it's not allowed because we have to say here that the methods allowed are only get, and here the methods allowed is only post. Cool. So C was not found. Let's set the A and B. Let's list the values and let's delete the B. Let's see the values. Here we have A. So technically that's for the API implementation. And now what we would like to do is to close this file and create a new one called APIDict.py. So here we try to import the requests module, except raise system exit, please pip install requests. Cool. Now from collections.abc we import the mutable mapping. And from JSON we would like to import the loads. All right, and now we can have the APIDict mutable mapping class with the init. And for the init, we are going to provide an endpoint and the pairs and the quarks. Cool, and self.endpoint is equal to endpoint, and the self.update takes the pairs and the quarks. Now we can define the get item. So we need a key to retrieve, and we just simply return the loads requests.get URL is equal to and self.endpoint /get question mark key equals to key. And we will also have the name equals to main. And here we have the APIDict with the endpoint pointing to the endpoint here. So we need this URL. And let's just paste it. Of course, you will have to change it if you are starting to use it on your PC. And we can have the AD equals A10 and AD B equals 20. And we will have the del AD A. That's for now. And let's go back to the previous one. So we have the self endpoint. So now we have to implement the set item. So for this, we need self, key, and value. And basically, we issue the requests.post URL is equal to self.endpoint with the set key equals key, and the value is equal to value. And now we need the del item. And for this, we need to specify a key. And we are going to use this post request. And basically send the key to the del context route. And we need to implement the length, the underscore function. And for this, we will return the length of loads requests.get URL is equal to self.endpoint. And we take this loads text, and we would iterate over the items and take the length. So now we need to implement the iter function, and we also need to implement the wrapper function. So we return the f-string APIDict endpoint is equal to self.endpoint. And the iter is going to return the iter from this sequence. So loads, copy. And yes, so that should be it. Now I have my API and it restarted. And let me drop out of this shell and enter PyGDs and the APIDict. And let's run the Python 3 APIDict. Unmatched, of course. So here we have to delete one. All right. So now you can see that we set the A and the B, and it deleted the A, and it didn't throw any errors. So if I go to my web browser and take a window and visit the HTTP localhost 8000, I have this response. So I can also drop down to the requests part, and let's post the set key B and value equals 99. Let's make it key C, and the D is going to be 10. And if I visit my web browser and refresh the page, you can see that this dictionary is populated. So here comes the fun part. If I restart my web application and revisit the site, you can see that the dictionary is gone. And what we can do is to combine our API Flask with the filedict. So in order to do that, in this current folder structure, we have to import the sys module and use the sys.path.append. And I would like to append the directory one level higher, so that I can do from filedict import filedict, and then I can change my dictionary to filedict, and the dir name is going to be flask-dict. Let me save it, and if I restart my web application, you will see that if we refresh the nodes, can I do that? Let's use the node 3 refresh root. Yes, you can see that the flask-dict folder is now present. So if I run my script APIDict, what will happen is that the B file was created with the value 20. And if I go here and drop down the Python shell and import requests and add the D value and the C value, and let's give it an A value, 1000. And if I go back to my NeoVim and refresh root, you can see that A, B, C, and D are present. So if I restart or reload my page, here are my values. And if I go ahead and restart my web application and reload the page, I still have the values. So this way we provided a persistent way to store the dictionary, which is translated to a file system with the help of the API. And if I want, I'm currently here in this directory. So let's drop down here and from API Dict import API Dict, and I create my AD from the API Dict with the endpoint set to this URL. Then I can reference the A value, or I should be able to reference. So we got this error message. So This is coming from the get function. And this must be a string bytes or byte array. Let's change this up a little bit. So we are at the get function. And this is supposed to be, as it said, a string, a byte, or byte array, not a response. So here, what am I supposed to do with this? So this error is coming from the APIDict line 14. And this should be the other one. API flask. So it didn't ruin it that much. And this is coming from the line 14. So let's close it, APIDict. And what is it? Print requests.get URL. And this is going to be the self.endpoint key question mark. So endpoint get key equals to key. Let's drop down to Python once again. And we have the AD A. So we have the response. Oh, come on. This should be the text. And if we save it and reinstantiate our class, you can see that it starts to work. So we are able to access the files, the dictionaries that are living on our file system, but we have an API which proxies them for us. And technically that was all I wanted to show you. I think it's a nice concept. See you in the next one.